Hey everyone, welcome back to Garden Rescue, and where are we today? Well, we are in a zoo slash garden that really doesn't need rescuing. This is PondShrimp's Little Eden, and it's probably the most beautiful project I've ever seen at Planet Zoo. Here's the bottom, here's the little lodge area, and this whole zoo just climbs up these many different tiers until it gets to this big old meadow here, which is called the Wawona Meadow? Wawona Meadow. It's kind of a hard time saying all those words. So you might be asking me why I would even try and improve on this, because it is absolutely beautiful. Her sense of using the foliage is completely natural. She has such a good handle on a lot of her design concepts and just the way that she is layering things together. Well, here is another kind of area where we can work on, which is flow. You can notice that this particular zoo only has one path up and one path down. I feel like this particular zoo... Uh-oh, somebody escaped. Oh, yeah. So we have this... Okay, let's just go over the concerns. The first concern is the animals are escaping. That's just not great. We want it to look natural, so we don't want any of them to be behind cages or anything like that. But this is just going to make the game insufferable to play with having all of these freaking things escaping. There they go, escaping off. The second thing is, I feel like this particular zoo was built in a way where the skills got better as the zoo progressed. So as we got to the Wawona Meadow, which I think is the youngest thing in here, it absolutely looks stunning. It's beautiful, it's very natural. And then as we move to the older exhibits, they just feel a little bit more clumsy with the tools and stuff like that. So I want to fix things like this waterfall, because that is a massive amount of water volume to be into this little pond here. And then this here, because we have really good refraction effects with our particles, I feel like we can get rid of this water and then also remove this big old hump, which makes it look a little awkward. Over here, the paths are getting a little insane. What I'm going to try and do is build a staircase instead, just to make it feel like it's a little bit more plausible. I know that there is a, look at this guy running. I know there is a massive amount of elevation change in this particular zoo, and so doing things the ADA style is not really going to work in this park, but we can at least make something a little bit more plausible. And what I really want to add is a second way to get to this sort of center area. And so the only way that I can think of is to start a staircase here and build a sky trail that comes all the way across, crosses over the bear exhibit, the grizzly bear exhibit, and then works its way back into here. And then this will kind of be the hub to get up to the Wawona Meadows. And from there, you can actually go down closer to the other exhibits. And the reason why I wanted to do a sky trail is because the vistas up here are absolutely gorgeous, and it's something that you just don't get to see at ground level. You don't get to see the grandeur of what she's built here. Okay, well, we're still having problems with the PFAL because they're still escaping, but here at least is the start of something. Instead of having that really large incline in there, I've got some staircases that'll go up. And what I think is going to happen is I'm going to try and expand this entire exhibit into here. And I'm going to use a method that I learned from watching Estan Wolf, I believe, is if you put ropes down, the people can still walk through it plausibly. And if you put ropes like vertically, they can walk through them, and then the animals can't get out. So what I can do is I can create a gate that people can go into without actually using a gate from the game, because they're so massive and they just don't work very well. And here you can see I started the sky trail. So this is all 3-meter staircases, so that they're still usable by people, but they're a little bit smaller than your normal 4-meter staircase, which would just feel a little overbearing. It's just a little bit too much. So that was a challenge, because if you've seen how to actually build these things, yeah, it's not easy. And then you can see I've started the actual track for the Sky Trail, which is using this particular monorail. I'll set all the posts in place and then put the path in there. You can see that it is running horizontally, and then it starts moving its way up at a steady, I think, 3-degree incline. It moves its way over the path here. And then it goes into the grizzly bear habitat, which will give you awesome views of these incredible animals. This particular animal is... Oh, I thought it was sitting in its own feces. Never mind. All right, still majestic. Moving on, the path continues up, and you can see by this point the elevation is starting to catch up, and it moves all the way up to this central point here, which will be the hub. That's kind of how I wanted that to go. From there, I'll have a staircase down, because this path is... you would hurt yourself on this path. It's like a 50-degree slope or something like that. I did fix this little waterfall cascade. You can see that it is now... There's no water in it, but there is all these foam effects, which make it look like the water is running. You can see that there's actually no water. And that way I could bring down this whole slope so that it looks like the water is naturally cascading into the flamingo habitat. It's just a little thing that you really wouldn't notice. It's really hard to see anywhere. I think this might be the only place. Nope, can't even see it there. So cool. I did that for no reason. Also, this fence is helping keep the peafowl in from just moving their way over. And then this was added just as a way to keep them in their own exhibit. Yeah, the animals are challenging. Okay, for some reason I have done nothing to this exhibit, and yet it's now working. They're not trying to escape. Well, we're still going to fix this so that the path actually goes in. I think this idea of having the picnic area is really, really cool. But I want people to be in there. Oh my gosh, they're loud. I want people to be in there so that they can experience the peafowl up close. I think the big update here is that I have people in here now. So I've fixed all the paths, and people are using the Sky Trail, which is really awesome. And I've got the Sky Trail in, which was definitely a challenge because the game does not like it when I do things piece by piece. Kind of get an idea of what it looks like with the bear habitat up here. It's just beautiful. And then people actually go visit the bear habitat this way so that they can get really inside with them. There will also be some safety stuff. I think I'm going to have some sort of railing system so that if you were to lean over and fall, you wouldn't fall into the bear habitat. You'd fall into some sort of railing. Because we don't need people falling in or dropping their kids or, doing what people do because people are sometimes not very smart when they visit attractions. And here's the beginning of that little hub area that I was talking about. There'll be some sort of building. Try to fit in the same with what she's got going down here, which is that arched wood with a sort of cross in the roof. I think that'll look really nice. And then from here, I might have to increase the size of this staircase because they're starting to get hung up on each other. And even though there's only 500 people in this zoo, these small staircases don't hold a lot of people. I did temporarily break this, and I will come back and fix it. This is a little picnic area. But I needed to bring this path up so that the Sky Trail had a place to end, naturally. Alright, you can see the beginning of my thought process here with this railing system. So that if a person were to fall over, they would just fall into the rails here. It would still hurt. That would likely be nets, but we don't have nets in this game right now, so yeah, those are just metal rails right now. Looks like my path is getting a lot of use. That's awesome. And here is that staircase I was talking about. I have definitely expanded it quite a bit. And I wanted it to look like it was built in around trees in a forest already, so that it's low impact to what was already there. I think it turned out really well. My problem is people aren't using it like I thought they would, because they want to follow the shortest path possible, even though that this staircase and this staircase is a lot more empty, and they wouldn't run into as many people. Whatever. Okay, and I think we finally fixed the peafowl habitat. So you got the staircase going up into the gate, which is very, very easy for people to walk through, but the animals can't get out. And if you look at heat maps, which I finally realized where this was, because the game never actually explicitly tells you, you can see the traversable area ends at the ropes. So it's just a little bit too much for the birds to get through, and you would normally have two just in case one gets through to the other side that they can't escape. That's generally how it goes. In here is why I've got these little nooks here, is because there wants to be a little wash station or a Purell station so that you can clean your hands if you happen to touch the birds, or if you stepped in bird. If you've done anything with the birds, let's just say that. And then, so what you're allowed to do now is you're allowed to walk in to the habitat, and you are free to walk around as freely as the birds are walking around. So really, you can get way up into their habitat, which is really, really cool. But her PondShrimp's way of creating this little meadow here, all of her meadows are amazing. It's clear that she really likes forests and forest meadows and wildflowers in general, but it's just so beautiful and natural. I really didn't have to do a whole lot to this area. I just added the path in and made sure the birds couldn't get out. But all of this was pretty much PondShrimp. You can see we're a little bit further with the Sky Trail. It's got a house on the top there. Is kind of firmly placed into the cliff. I've also extended the cliff out so that it looks a little bit more plausible than having that huge tower, so that you only have one tower to deal with. The rest is kind of natural, and that'll get kind of filled in as we go. I liked this idea of having the dead trees, so I think I'll continue that around. As if it's just an area that got hit by a bug or something like that, or any sort of other pressure. And now the Sky Trail is getting a lot of use. You can see that it's kind of nice to have two different ways to get around this particular zoo. Because now you have, even though they're low impact paths on both sides, they just they complement each other pretty well. So that you can get everybody up to the midsection, and then from there, there's one path that goes up. She said she might have some sort of shuttle system or something like that, maybe a vehicle of some kind. I think that would be really cool. And you can see here, it's the same thing. So you've got this little hub area, which you can go up into. You can take the staircase down to take the lower path, or you can take the Sky Trail, which will take you over the bear exhibit and everything. So it's just a very loose way of pulling people around the zoo, in hopefully a way that doesn't take away from the zoo's beauty and just the natural, pristine scene that she's got going on here. Woo! I feel like it works really well without being too invasive. Alright, a big jump to the finish, as it normally is. There's going to be a lot of changes here in this last bit. I just wanted to show you, this is quite a different little habitat than it was. You can see I've finally addressed the waterfall here, so I made it a lot smaller. So that it looks like it's a little bit more in line with the pool that it's running into. I've also increased the amount of space that people can walk through, so people can get a lot closer to the flamingos than they could. That wasn't part of the original plan, but I really like it because this felt a little hands off. And as you get down here, once again, they can't really get into this area, which is nice. For whatever reason, they can't fly onto this little pad, but it allows people to get really, really close, and it's not so invasive to the habitat to be a problem. Over here, I've just forested this area a little bit more so that it adds as a natural block to the upper area here with the bears. Also made this a little smaller so no bear would find their way into the flamingo habitat by tumbling down or whatever they would end up doing. As you turn to the right, you are greeted with the Sky Trail. You can see that it is a little bit more integrated than it was. it was looking a little out of place for a while, but now it finally has a home. It has a sign there, and you can walk up the stairs to get to the top. And then from there, I've got some rope nets to make sure that the people's... Well, again, these would probably be a little bit smaller, so that if you had like dropped phones or something like that, then the phones would not drop on people or crush their heads. But you can see that idea of having the dead trees as part of the landscape, I think just looks really cool, and also makes a really cool signpost too. If I turn to the left from the flamingo exhibit, oh, apparently I've got some protesters that are unhappy with the way I'm treating my animals. I've got the peacock exhibit, or the peafowl exhibit. And so you head up the stairs. There's a little education placard, because apparently it's really hard to get people to be educated in this game. And then here you can kind of see the cleaning area. So you got the 2 shelves here. That's where you would have the Purell and possibly a wash station or something like that. Couldn't quite figure out how to make a wash station, but this looks pretty good. In here, I don't think there was any significant change. I think maybe just added a few more plants here and there. But it is... they're unhappy about something. Sometimes the birds are too stupid to realize that there's a water source, and sometimes they'll go thirsty on their own. The AI is not super fantastic right now. From here, in similar fashion as the ropes on the top here, I've got a rope crossing to make sure that people don't drop things down there and hurt other people. And it just makes a really cool kind of effect there, the shadows and everything. Definitely have cleaned this up a little bit more. I took that tree and raised it up a little bit, added some moss and stuff like that, so it was a little bit easier to cross under, but you still got the same effect. Oh boy, I got a lot of protesters in this park. Well, oh well. And then from here, you can see that the safety railing is all the way around. I've got a few of those placards just to show people what they're looking at. And then this is probably the coolest thing of that update, is I fixed the cascade there, because for whatever reason the waterfall was not showing through, like the particle effects weren't, and this is kind of important. Like in a bear habitat like that, I think that big cascade is quite beautiful, having the multiple levels and stuff like that, and then making sure that the water is kind of pushing out like it normally would. From here, I did a little cleanup, and she's got a little water tower now. She had this kind of round wood thing, and it always looked like a water tower to me, so I was like, all right, I'm just going to go with it. Hopefully she likes it. I know it's a little bit, it's a bigger building than she probably wanted for this area, but I think it blends in pretty nicely, and it also has the name of the zoo, which is kind of cool. Here's the grand staircase around the forested trees. You can see that it is all kind of planted in now. It looks nice and natural. People are using it a little bit better too. Look at, some people are using all sorts of different paths, which is kind of cool. Up here is another invitation for the Sky Trail. This is where it connects up again. And then this area got fixed up so that I didn't keep it broken, because I didn't really want to leave PondShrimp with a bunch of problems that I created for her. So now this picnic area, instead of being connected there, connects to this kind of store area, and it's a little bit more forested. And you'd get like a respite from the hot sun in the summer. I think that'd be really cool. So I believe that is all that I worked on in this garden rescue. Obviously, this is one of those projects where even if I did nothing, it still would have been incredible. I'm just hoping that the additional fixes in flow and stuff like that, and some of the more realistic like staircases, it just kind of adds to the project. It doesn't take away. I really wanted to make sure that the integrity of this garden was intact. And it's a big area, it's a big project, but it was really fun to work on. Probably the most fun I've had so far, just because it's such a beautiful zoo. And if you haven't checked out her series, you absolutely must. She is incredible. She has a broad knowledge in forestry and a particular love for Northern California and the forests of California. So if you are into that, if you like the why more so than just pretty pictures and pretty video, she is definitely the channel to follow. If you liked what you saw today, you know what to do. Next time on Garden Rescue, I have a few gardens lined up, so the next one's actually going to be animal habitat, which is going to be interesting because it is going to use the same aspects of design and garden design and stuff like that, but it's going to be applied towards a living animal. And I am really excited to get going on it. So I think that's where we're going to leave it today. And I hope to see you in the next episode. See you later, guys.